Hi, bright lights. Welcome and thank you for being here. My name is Tina, and in today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about resurrection. It is the Easter Eve here, and I am a recovering Catholic, but I do want to talk about this idea of the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus. And what I believe the symbolism behind that whole story, what that is, and how we can apply our own lives and look at it kind of in that way. Because if you think of the whole struggle of Jesus, the betrayal, and then the resurrection, I think there's a lot of our own life story all wrapped up in all of that concept. So what does resurrect mean? And as I like to do in a lot of these videos, I like to bring forward the definition of the word resurrect. And the meaning behind that is to restore a dead person to life. Or it could mean to revive the practice, use, or memory of something. And then the other definition that I really resonated with was bring a new vigor to something, to your life. And I think all of these things, you can get a sense as to how that kind of can play out in all of our awakening and healing journeys. Because on your awakening and your healing journey, you will discover the first step is basically bringing consciousness to patterns and programs that you have taken on throughout your life, trying to figure out who you are and where you belong. Now, traditional talk therapy can help you identify the trauma you experienced, can even help you to recognize how others may have played a part in developing your dysfunction. But I think the most underrated and often neglected part of the healing and awakening journey is about how you move forward. How do you get back to who you truly are, that innocent child, the loving, joyful, and creative spirit, that you used to be? This is where the real journey begins. The resurrection from the death of the self that was projected onto you by others. You have been conditioned to deal with trauma, anxiety, and depression your whole life. You have mastered this, as many of us have. And although traditional counseling can help you deal with some of that, it is still missing a critical piece, the alignment with your spiritual side. The side which is about learning self acceptance and your uniqueness. It is about learning how to allow and accept joy, happiness, and serenity. And please know your spiritual side has nothing to do with religion. Religion just became another way to make you conform to another set of beliefs driven by control and greed. Spirituality is about remembering that you are a divine spark of the one source, and you chose to come here in all your separateness and individuality to express your uniqueness. It's about living from the heart, and it's about wanting to grow in new skills and strengths that assist you in the conscious creation of your future. And if you put your focus on that, even though there may still be inner work you need to do, you still need to develop those new skills for getting you to move forward rather than just sitting in the same place on your healing journey. And that can really make you feel stuck, playing out those old patterns, so there has to be a balance between this replaying of old traumas while implementing new strategies for building a stronger and meaningful life. Everything you do well in life is because you worked on developing a skill or a strength. So, if you want to live a life of meaning and purpose, that's what you need to focus on for the future you. balancing the polarity of the past energy, bringing in the energy of the new future you, keeping in mind it's all about balance. Push too hard and you'll push everything away. In your past focus, you were in pain, and you may start by, going to a healer, sitting in a safe space so that person can help you to be vulnerable and see what has happened, see where you may be creating the same experiences, and then learning how to let that go. Once you have started this chapter, you must leap into changing the future you. I must now leave this safe space created by the healer, and I must go out into the world and create it in a new way. That has to kind of be your thought process. We must retrain our future by changing the old way of being, that old mindset. So, what do you want to see in the future? I know what I want. I want my future and people in it to tell the truth. I want people in my future who are loving and kind and sincere. I want people in my future who are fun and creative. And I want people in my future who are strong enough to hold their convictions and stand up for the vulnerable. Only in our human fragility and vulnerability can we have true intimacy with one another, where we can actually see each other and hear each other, and we can observe each other in that space. In a space where we can create something meaningful, something loving, because love can only occur in a safe space in which vulnerability and intimacy are equally supported. These things are very fragile. They need safety, they need structure, and they need boundaries. That is why what you want to create in the future has to be done with strength and determination, with skillfulness and kindness, where we deliberately spend time focusing on developing relationships where we tell the truth, even when the truth is shameful and embarrassing. I understand to say to consciously build a future. It sounds very overly idealistic and cheesy, but it is the truth. With conscious, deliberate intention that includes courage and being in alignment with your highest values, you have to deliberately and consciously put emotion into it. Putting emotional content into focusing on the future, then and only then will you have the best chance of building something solid, something that won't crumble. And that is because anything that is built on the foundation of truth lasts, and your true authentic self will last. And I'd like to spend just a moment talking about Paramahansa Yogananda, the autobiography of a yogi. Now, Paramahansa came to the West to teach about Kriya Yoga, bring in a lot of those Eastern modalities to help balance the doing of the Western ideology. And I have talked about this in some of my other videos. And so Paramahansa came to Los Angeles, the city of angels, and in the Palisades built a beautiful ashram where many people still pray and look to spirituality and to look to their true authentic selves. Now, I find it very fascinating that when they had all of the fires this year, I had talked a lot about this being a 9 year, there's going to be a lot of destruction. And this can be viewed as also a cleansing, a purification, and that can happen through fires. And so everything, this beautiful ashram was in the Palisades, and it did not burn. Everything around it burned. And I think there was one building on the property that burned, but it was maintained. I think there was a family of 3 that actually helped to save the whole property. And if you look at it from an aerial view, you'll see everything around it. And this structure, which is they call incorruptible, was remained, and it was because it was built on this great foundation of truth and expressing truth, and your connecting to your superior spiritual divine self. So, this just is about encouraging you to build that strength and consistency and to put it into this new skill and the repeated summing of new energy with repeated visualizations, repeated mantras, manif- uh, meditation, any repeated effort into manifesting something more in alignment than what you have been manifesting in the past. This is where the magic is, bright lights. Instead of allowing that old pain to bind you to the past, you will free yourself and the people around you because you only need your intent and your redirecting of focus from the energy vampires I often talk about, from being self-indulgent with all the capitalistic crap that is currently taking up all your time, energy, and resources. Because when you direct all three of those things where they need to be, into something you want and do it consistently with vulnerability, with focus, with self respect and kindness, and this good emotional context, you resurrect the highest version of yourself. And you will also help to bring about a much better world as well. I'm going to give you just a little short list of how to resurrect the real you. Live as simply as possible. Eat healthily. Exercise daily. Practice mindfulness. Be the observer. Do whatever meditations you find helpful. Focus your intention with positive emotions, visualizations, and mantras. Use your precious free time to be creative and joyful. And never forget how powerful of a creator you really are. And with that, I hope everybody celebrates this beautiful time of resurrection and apply it in the best, most possible way. Tomorrow, I had looked up this beautiful space that Paramahansa helped implement over in the Palisades. And they are going to do a sunrise service tomorrow. And I'm going to join in. It is 7 p.m. Pacific time, and it is on the yogananda.org website if anyone is interested in joining me. I thought that would be a wonderful way to bring in our beautiful spiritual self, aligning with our physical self that I always talk about by doing soul contract readings. I always talk about the physical side of our journey and then the spiritual side and how we want to align those two journeys together to bring in that meaningfulness and that, what we came here to really learn and grow from in this lifetime. And I also offer the divine healing component, that initial therapy that helps to bring consciousness to all of those patterns and ancestral DNA things you may have carried forward and start to help you to recognize those things so we can start the process of reprogramming your ideal self and to make a better world because all the inner work that we do on ourselves is will directly be reflected on the outside world. Now that may not happen overnight, and it will, though, make an impact, and you have to have faith in that and believe in that. And so, with that, I am going to say goodbye and wish you all the best. And I'm sending you much love and joy on your journey. And I will see you in the next video.